Welcome to Launchpod, the show from the Innovation Launchpad Network that takes on the acceleration of research in the UK. I'm your host, Paul Stimpson, and today we'll be hearing about the benefits of being a researcher in residence from Dr. Eloise Marais from University College London. But before that, let me give you a quick introduction to the Innovation Launchpad Network. The Innovation Launchpad Network, funded by the Engineering and Physical Sciences Research Council, EPSRC, brings together leading universities, the Catapult Network, and regional innovation ecosystems, which enriches the exchange of ideas and knowledge across these organizations. One of the ways we do that is through the Researcher in Residence scheme, the same scheme which today's guest, Dr. Eloise Marais, utilized to develop a tool for city planners to incorporate satellite observations of atmospheric composition into their decision making. So, without further ado, here is Eloise on her placement.
So the ambition of this researcher in residence, it was over a long time period with a very small time contribution from me. So I tried to extend it as much as possible to be able to have a mature product at the end. And so the ambition was to develop this tool that could be used by city planners and by other potential end users to incorporate satellite observations of atmospheric composition into their decision making to have well informed, evidence based decisions to address air pollution within cities. And so, in this, I worked with the Connected Places Catapult, which is based in London and Milton Keynes, and then the Satellite Applications Catapult, which is based in Harwell, and I think now has a branch in Leicester. Most of it was with the Satellite Applications Catapult, and my selling point for them was that they don't currently use satellite observations that monitor air pollution. And so I would add this level of expertise in working with them as well. And then, of course, Connected Places has direct links to city councils and other potential end users, offering me that easy link to those groups. And so, of course, the other selling point behind this was that we can't really cost effectively monitor air quality everywhere routinely and with consistent records. That's very expensive to establish monitoring networks. And even in a city like London, that is quite well networked, we have large gaps and sites move, and they're a lot to maintain. But we have Earth observations that provide us with observations of multiple air pollutants over long time records. And so we can add this to the monitoring networks and modeling infrastructure to be able to better understand and draw out a consistent record of air pollutants across cities throughout the world. So after selling my idea, advertising how I could work with these two catapults to further enhance it as a commercial product, it actually didn't end up becoming a commercial product. But it certainly wasn't a failed researcher in residence experience. There were many other beneficial outcomes that I didn't anticipate in starting this project that led to collaborations with Birmingham City Council to quantify trends in air pollutants, to help them assess the efficacy of their current air quality policies. And this added to the evidence base for the need for far more aggressive air quality policies like clean air zones, electric buses, and so on to try and address very severe air pollution that people are exposed to in the cities. Collaborating with Leicester City and County Councils for a similar purpose to try and understand what sources are contributing to air pollution, to develop very targeted and effective air quality policies in working with small satellite manufacturers, with additional funding from the European Space Agency, so that we could provide end user input experience on deciding on what future medium cost satellite concepts could be developed to launch into space to effectively monitor oceans, land, and air. We collaborated with the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs as well, in collaboration with the National Center for Earth Observation, to use satellite observation to quantify sources of agricultural ammonia in the UK. And of course, as an academic, I'm particularly concerned about making sure that I continue to publish peer reviewed literature. And so this did lead to a substantial number of peer reviewed papers that also enhance the value of the findings, that the catapults don't typically work with directly, but in using these kinds of data sets, it does lend credibility to them because they have been reviewed by experts around the world. And so within these peer-reviewed publications, we've had one of the most downloaded papers in 2022 by the Wiley publication group. We've also gained substantial media attention from leading news agencies like The Guardian. And under the instigation of the Satellite Applications Catapult, I also entered the Copernicus Masters competition with support from a PhD student within my research group. And I unfortunately didn't win it, but I ended up being a finalist, which I think demonstrated that the kind of product that I was developing was certainly recognizable as an important um, piece of work that needs to be carried out. There were also so many additional benefits, again, that I didn't anticipate from pursuing this, but perhaps something that you can consider in deciding which catapult to work with and what kind of research focus and product development focus that you'll have. And so for me, at least, it was better understanding the needs of the non-academic community. And I've used this as a researcher in residence and beyond to devise new research projects. And one that is currently giving me a lot of media attention is the influence of rocket launches on the environment. And because Elon Musk is about to launch his Starship rocket, I'm currently inundated with media requests. And of course, we've published papers on this topic because working with the Satellite Applications Catapult, it became evident that there is this boom in the space industry, and I had the right tools to assess what the impact might be on the environment. I felt part of a supportive non academic community when, at the time, I wasn't working at UCL. I was particularly unhappy, and it was a sanctuary from an unpleasant academic environment. I also got to see through the catapults how a nimble organization can work. An academic institution is a slow moving organism and can sometimes be frustrating. And so I had a relief from that working with smaller scale, innovative, fast moving organizations. The catapults are also invested in the success of your residency, and maybe you'll identify that in deciding which catapult to work with. But you meet with so many people working on so many aspects of innovation and product development, and so this also leads to a lot of support and I think encouragement in deciding what sort of ideas to evolve. It expanded my network as well within and beyond the UK academic community. I did my PhD and postdoc in the US, so I was a very new fish in the pond. And so the catapults really were incredibly useful in helping me identify who to potentially work with in and beyond academia. It inspired new research projects beyond the residency, which I've already mentioned. I also gained insight into innovative approaches of networking and sharing knowledge. Sometimes, working in academia, the ideas behind networking and sharing knowledge can become a little bit stale, a little bit formulaic because we're familiar with it. And we see how the catapults have these really interesting and unusual ways of networking and exchanging ideas. And I was able to embed that within my own research group. My experience is also just being a researcher in residence, having that on my CV has increased my competitiveness to apply for internal and external funding as well. I now have greater familiarity with business acumen as well as product development stages. Even if I don't necessarily employ it in my own day to day research, it is important when working with others within these areas and sectors. And also this advanced and professional support from catapults to communicate across sectors. They are really the bridge between academia and businesses, and it was a very, very important learning experience for me to see how they communicate across sectors. Some advice that I would give, certainly not an exhaustive list. There's many other experiences from other researchers, and so reach out to others to find out more. I would say that you want to be prepared for your project to evolve and find ways to capitalize on this. Be as nimble as these catapults are in adjusting your ideas, adjusting your focus, embedding new ideas and methods. Utilize the best aspects of working within academia or research and working within industry or within these bridges, the catapults. What I really like about academia is that there's this integrity of research, which makes us unfortunately a little bit slow. There's open data, there's open science, open knowledge, a lot of sharing of ideas. And within the catapults, we see the implementation of innovation far more nimbly than we see in academia. There's also the self promotion, the sort of elevator pitch idea of sharing your ideas, saying why you're the best person to take on the work that you're taking on. There's also this drive and a faster pace that I think we can sometimes adopt within academia as well. Volunteer to present at the networking events that they host as well. They're a really exciting opportunity to start to engage with people, and not all interactions will lead to something of material value necessarily, but it's nice to get yourself well known and to become more familiar with what's happening at both the startup scale and at the well established industrial scale. Sell yourself in ideas. And I hope I don't offend anyone by saying ditch the British modesty. I've worked within a US environment where the self promotion is is maybe a little bit far in the other direction, but you really do have to sell yourself. What do you do? What is your background? What is your pedigree? And why are you the best person to take on the task that you'll take on? And of course, the catapult is fast moving, and one of the potential disadvantages there is that there is a high turnover of personnel. Be resilient to this, to any kind of structural changes and personnel changes. Your idea shouldn't hinge on one particular person at a catapult, or even one particular um, focus within a catapult, because it does evolve as the market evolves. So make sure that your idea is resilient to that.
So that was Dr. Eloise Marais discussing her fascinating researcher in residence placement at Connected Places Catapult and Satellite Applications Catapult. Now, do you have a research idea? Well, we have a fantastic opportunity for researchers and academics to apply for funding for their own researcher in residence program. All you need to do is take a look at catapult.org.uk and discuss your project with the relevant catapult. It's as simple as that. Currently, Tranche 2 is live, and the deadline for the expressions of interest is on the 15th of June at 2 p.m. For more information on the scheme, eligibility, and any other activities that the Innovation Launchpad Network promote, please head to innovationlaunchpad.ac.uk. That's all from us this week. See you again soon.